Nice to have you with me here on The Doctor Is In.
You have always been a voice of reason through all of this.
Appreciate your time, what you're doing for America.
I give you advice, and it doesn't work at all.
You are definitely not inept by any means.
I like to hear women say that about me.
Whatever advice you're going to send my way, I am 100% taking it.
I can't tell you what to do. I will not tell you what to do.
Okay. Well, thanks.
That wasn't the answer I wanted.
Are you kidding me?
Great stuff, Dr. Ray. Glad I called.
I've scheduled my day around listening to your radio show.
You don't have to laugh so hard.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I was at the mall yesterday. My wife was going to the perfume counter. I'm thinking to myself, why do women want to wear perfumes that smell like flowers? Flowers, that's not what guys want. I would like softball field dust, axle grease, new car interior. That's what I would like to smell in a perfume. Good to have you here. I'm Dr. Ray Guarendi. Program is The Doctor Is In. I'm a bit tired today. Didn't get much sleep last night. Last night, I was ready to relax, took a shower, wanted to stay home, but my hair looked too good. I had to go out. It was a good hair night. I don't have that many of those anymore, and I thought I can't just have my hair look like this for me alone or my wife. So I had to go out. And I stayed out. I stayed out late. Oh, my gosh. I looked at the clock. I'm thinking, 8:45. What am I still doing out? So I headed for home, but I am tired, and I'll do my best today to give you an energy level that's appropriate for the program. The number, as always, 877-573-7825. I slow it down to try to get you to digest the numbers, but the problem is those are just not easy numbers. Think about it. The 877 is 573-7825. How easy is it to remember? It's not. It's not. It's snot, as my mom used to say. I thought I had blood in my nose, but it's snot. That was my mom's favorite joke. Oh, don't get mad at me. It's lunchtime, Dr. Ray. We're feeding the kids, and you're talking like that. 877-57 3 bite-size parts. 877-57 That is the number to call to get onto the program. Why? That's up to you. Multiple reasons. Most common is situation, circumstance, person, something in your life, or even something within you that's a struggle. Or it's not a struggle. You think it should be a struggle. Or it's not a struggle. It's just a question. Or you want to help somebody else out. You get days off purgatory for doing that. Actually, you get days off purgatory for listening to this program because I can be so irritating to listen to. Haven't really understood how time works in the afterlife, but probably, I can just picture God saying, you listen to Guarendi? Okay, well, that'll be a little less time in your purification, a little bit less. What else? People call in with generic questions, things about psychology or mental health or emotions or development or intellect or diagnoses they don't understand. Or they do understand and they disagree with, which, by the way, if you want to jump the line to turnstiles, all you got to do is disagree with me. Just disagree with me. You come straight to the front. My call screamer is Eric Dumont. All right, as I will probably be wanting to, you know what? I'll probably just skip it this time. Well, no, I don't want to skip it because I don't want to take the chance that we won't have a huge crowd. But I think we will, because the Quest down in Atlanta is one heck of a station, and they've got a tremendous reach, and they are very popular in that monster market here. So where are we at here? Atlanta promo. Okay, there we go. Let's see where we're at here. Let me get all my details. I know them by heart, but I just want to have them with me just in case. Holy Spirit Catholic Church in Atlanta, August 18th and 19th. I'm wondering if there's more than one Holy Catholic Spirit Church in Atlanta. You know, I don't know. However, 18th and 19th of August, 5:30 and 7:15. The 18th and the 19th will be 2 tapings of Living Right with Dr. Ray, the program on EWTN. You want to see your face on TV? Be in the live audience. The live audience doesn't just sit there. I got to tell you that. You will not just sit there. A lot of times we use you for opening bits. We do various things with the audience. The audience asks questions. The audience makes comments. The audience can ask questions of the guest. It's a segmented show. There's 6 or 8 segments, 5, 6, 8 minutes apiece. And we do it. Father Larry Richards is always there, not in person, but certainly if you like Father Larry, he has always gotten a segment on the program. Details, just go to thequestatlanta.com, and they should have it right smack up there somewhere, Living Right with Dr. Ray, and you can sign up for 1, 2, 3, or 4 programs. One good thing that happens a lot of times is people sign up for the early program and they stay for the second because they had a good time. And then sometimes they leave during the first program because they're not having a good time. We know who you are. We've got your name and number. So, be delighted to have you. I don't know what the audience tally is right now, but I will say this. There's about a 25 to 30% drop-off in sign-ups and show-ups. I know when we tell people, please, if you sign up, we got to know we can count on you, please. And then it sounds good while they're signing up, and then something comes up like they have to dust their coffee table or mow their backyard. So, please, if you would want to be there, we'd love to have you there, Raymond. Be articulate and stuff, Raymond. Okay, let's go back to the program. The number one more time before I do my opening monologue, 877-573-7825. I am asked periodically, what perplexes you most in all your years as a shrink? What is it? When you do this a long time, you just hear about everything. And you typically hear about everything many times over. That's why sometimes on this program, when somebody describes a situation, scenario to me, I make an observation and they go, yeah, that's it. Well, it isn't because I necessarily have some third ear into their situation. It's that I've heard that situation many, many times, and I know the common themes that can happen in a situation like that. But there is something that really perplexes me more and more, especially as I get older, and it becomes very personal. I can understand the 20-year-olds not paying a whole lot of attention to God, pursuing their lives, thinking that infinity lays out before them in their own life. I can even understand it somewhat with the 30 and 40-year-olds. But when you become more elderly, 60, 70, 80-ish, even 90-ish, and you haven't paid a whole lot of attention to God, most people are practical atheists. They believe, yeah, there's a God. I believe there's a God. Yeah, there's an afterlife. I believe there's an afterlife. Yeah. I pray every so often. Don't go to church all that much, but, I think it's a good thing. That's kind of the mindset of, I would say, the bulk of people. So given that, as you get older, let's just pick our prototypical 83-year-old who still isn't pondering this question of infinite existence. That puzzles me as a psychologist. One of the things that's a theme in psychology is that we act according to self-interest. Well, it's major self-interest to worry about, think about, ponder what's going to happen to you after you're dead. That's pretty big self-interest, especially if you believe any part of God's revelation that says it's never ending. Now, why does this puzzle me so much? Because I think, what is it about us? What is it about the human condition that as we get older in life, we still don't ponder that question? Now, there are those who don't believe, so they don't have to ponder it. They've just declared that God doesn't exist. They've declared him out of existence. They say it, therefore it is so. There you have it. Okay. So in their mind, they don't have to worry about it. You're dead, you're dead. The words of David Clayton Thomas from Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Crazy cold down there. There are those who think, well, I've gone to heaven. I'm pretty decent. I mean, there's no way God is he's not going to do anything to me that I wouldn't want done. After all, I'm a decent person. I don't kill anybody. Pay my taxes. Faithful spouse. I'm all right. All right, come on. And that's okay as far as it goes, as long as God thinks that way. Got enough indication from him that it's not exactly how he thinks. He wants people who love him, who give their lives to him. Okay, well, what is it then? And I think a big one is this. Rush Limbaugh once reported it was a study or a research project that essentially said there's something innate to the human condition that we do not think about mortality. Whether it's too unpleasant, scary, not real, we don't think about death. We could intellectually say death is coming, but not for us. Or it's far enough away that I really don't have to think about it now. I see a lot of older people who pretty much living their lives exactly the same as they were before, marginally allowing God into it, and definitely not doing much about Christ. And as they get older and older and older, it doesn't occur to them, I better look into this. At the very least, I better pray that God opens my eyes. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, it's grace. God has to give you the grace, prevenient grace. Open your eyes. True, I believe that. But from a personally rational perspective, even without grace, reason says this is a question you better consider. On September 11th, way back 25 years ago now, if you would have gotten on a plane that morning, you had a 1 in many, many thousands of chance to go down. Most people, knowing that, would not have gotten on a plane. Their life's too valuable. So let's say that somebody told you, get on a plane today, you got a 1 in 10,000 chance going down. I would think many, if not most people, would say, yeah, I'm going to wait till tomorrow. What about a 1 in 10,000 chance that God wants us to do it a certain way and we're ignoring him? How about a 1 in 5 chance? You see, when the stakes are infinity, then the bet goes toward God. And I don't understand it. And I think back on my own life and how in many ways I kind of ignored God as I was pursuing my own thing. Yeah, I never left the church, so to speak. I've drifted out of the Catholic Church for several years, but I never left God or Christianity, so to speak. But I got sloppy. I got real sloppy. And I think, what was my mind at? Where was my mind at during that slop? What was I doing? What was I thinking? And I try to extrapolate that to old age. Is it the same kind of thing? The journal First Things reported a survey that said this. They asked, and I forget how many, it was a good sample size, people in their 80s and even 90s who, as far as they could tell, were in decent health. They were not facing a terminal illness. And they asked them, how much longer do you think you're going to live? All of them said at least 1 more year. So if you keep pushing back death, 1 more year, 1 more year, 1 more year, what then? It kind of makes sense. You don't have to think about it yet. Makes no sense. Absolutely no sense to look at your life and say, okay, Rose, don't go away. I know you're there. To say, I'm not going to pay a whole lot of attention to this, even at this late stage in my life. Okay, take a break, then to your calls. 877-57-EQUAL, that's the number. And by the way, if any of you want to give me some insight on why you think this is, on why so many people don't really turn their attention deeply toward God, even when they know their life is coming to a close, well, we'll see what you got to say. This is Dr. Ray.
My dad, sharp as a tack, but getting him out for a dentist trip got harder every year. When he moved to the senior residence where he lives now, Dr. Mansour's portable dental service was a godsend. Dr. Mansour comes to wherever the homebound patient may be, whether in a nursing facility or the comfort of home. All the services you'd expect in a dentist office brought straight to the patient's door. Call 586-873-5567. That's 586-873-5567 or portabledentalservices.com.
Love makes the world go round, songwriters tell us, but there is a greater love than mere romantic love, and that does make the world go round. The theological virtue of charity enables us to love God above all things just because He is God and infinitely lovable, and to love our neighbor as ourselves because we love God and He wishes us to love our neighbor. The Catholic Catechism tells us it is Jesus who makes charity the new commandment. By loving His own to the end, He makes visible the love which He receives from the Father. While we were still His enemies, Christ died out of love for us, and He asks us to love as He loves, even our enemies. St. Augustine writes, "Love is itself the fulfillment of all our works. That is why we run," he says, "and once we reach love, we shall find rest." This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
You're listening to Ave Maria Radio.
Ave Maria Radio.
Experience the fire of renewal at Detroit's Rising from the Ashes Eucharistic Revival. World-class speakers Bishop Daniel Flores, Father John Ricardo, Sister Mary Grace S.V., and Jeff Cavins, and powerful worship led by Matt Maher and Sarah Croker. One day only, Wednesday, July 22nd at Huntington Place in downtown Detroit. Registration only $50 with $10 off for groups of 15 or more. Register today at risingrevival.org. That's risingrevival.org.
Rose had to sit there and listen to my opening monologue that went on and on. Normally, those opening monologues are about 5 to 7 minutes. That one was, what was that one, Andrew? Probably about 8 to 9, something like that. I was on a roll. I was in the moment. Rose is describing a situation that I hear an awful lot in therapy. A lot, Rose. How are you, Rose?
I'm good. I'm more worried about my nephew because I'm wondering how long it's going to be before she throws him out of her life or it gets so bad that he has to leave.
Why do you think he's gone along with all that?
He's always seen her, I see her differently. She's not as bad as you think. And then they got married. She didn't want to get married at first, and then she wanted to. And then everything changed.
She's eliminated from her life and by extension his, everybody. The family, their family, their friends, your family, everybody. Cutting everybody out. What are they doing?
Not
just
her
isolated?
Friends, though.
Oh.
Not her friends. She's got a ton of friends. And in fact, if my nephew if he's not ready for dinner on time, she'll just go out with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
She just does whatever she wants. She'll go on vacation by herself, everything.
Rose, I got a question. I always have questions. And now this is going to sound funny. You'll have to answer me this. It's not rhetorical. How does this concern you?
I worry about my sister-in-law because my sister-in-law, when my brother was alive, this girl loved my brother. And in fact, they bought a house so that way she can help care for him because she was EMT at the time. And then my brother passed away. And really, when he passed away, that's really when little things started.
So this daughter-in-law did not like her mother-in-law.
She didn't show it until he passed away, I guess.
And that was the first severing of contact. That was the first one. And then inch by inch, more people got included.
Yeah. Yeah.
When somebody does that,
now
Rose, go ahead. You finish up.
Are they afraid? Well, that's what I'm saying. Are we some sort of a threat to her? Or she sees us as a threat?
Well, you're presaging what I'm about to say. When somebody does that, cutting people out all over the place, and I'm not saying this is her because I don't know her, but this is common. They're an insecure person who is easily upset or threatened by humans who don't behave exactly as they want. And as that happens, their view is, I don't have to put up with this. I don't need you in my life. Get out. Now, why does the husband go along in this case? And I think a simple explanation is he either agrees with her, because she's more or less convinced him these people all need to be removed, or he has to live with her and he figures it's the only way I can live in any kind of peace is to go along, because if I resisted her and I went and saw my mother, she'd go crazy.
It's the latter, because they have a 3-year-old together.
And
my nephew is not going to leave the 3-year-old, no matter what.
There you go. So I guess what you can do, Rose, is this. Help your sister. Is your sister-in-law? Yeah, your sister-in-law. It's your brother's wife, right?
Uh-huh.
Help her out.
Yeah.
She's probably beating herself up pretty good. She's thinking, okay, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? And that would be nice, except the daughter-in-law doesn't want to give her a chance to make amends, right? So there's no reconciliation allowed.
No,
right.
She refuses.
Mm-hmm.
She won't even say what's wrong between them.
That says an awful lot about her. And when people do this, they pretty much thrown up a cement block wall in front of you, and they're not going to let you in any way get over that wall. It's not going to happen. And your sister-in-law needs probably your support, because she's probably beating herself up pretty good and thinking, what's with my son? What's with my son? How's he doing this? You know, okay, I can live with this daughter-in-law who's a witch, but I cannot imagine my son writing me out of his life. Tell her this.
She's been pretty good about it. She said, don't threaten your marriage at all. But at times it has been hard. I mean, for her birthday, he threw a card underneath her door. That's it. Because it was all he could do.
Well, that's interesting that you say she's been pretty good about it, but at times it gets to her, which means she's not been pretty good about it. So given that, I think what you can do is help her. And you can explain to her what I said to you 3 minutes ago, which is he's either trying to keep the peace living with her, he's doing what he can to get along with her, because the 3-year-old and the marriage trumps his relationship with his mother. And I see this all the stinking time. It's so common anymore, Rose. It is.
Wow.
60 years ago, this was very uncommon. Not now. There's so much of it. And it reflects some of the younger generation being peevish and prickly and not religious. And therefore their attitude is, hey, if you bug me in any way, get out of my life. Well, I know. I'm surprised she still has friends. You said that. She got a lot of friends. I'm surprised at that.
She has a lot of friends, but they're all, I'm amazed. That's what blows me away.
Well, one thing I'm going to say, first of all, you don't know how many she might have alienated. You don't know exactly who those friends are and what the connection is. So you really don't know. If you're just going by numbers, that's not necessarily a good indication. My experience has been when somebody wipes out all these people in their lives emotionally, they have trouble keeping connections with everybody. God bless you, Rose. 877-57-EQUAL. I'm Dr. Ray. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. Appreciate the company. Appreciate the fact that I'm allowed to be here with you and get paid for talking. Who'd have thunk it? When I was a senior in college, I worked the summer at cement work. And if you're an Italian, you have to do that. It's my internship. People say, do you have an internship? in college? I go, yeah, cement work. And I used to admire those guys that could put that stuff together and smooth it out like that. I had to go get the donuts. And I was the dude that had to shovel the gravel. Nothing but grunt. I had a master's at that time. And a lot of those guys, I don't think even finished high school. I don't know. But I was low dog on that totem pole. There's no question. Education meant nothing. They were good at what they did, and I was the rookie. And speaking of rookies, Nate's a rookie. Nate from Iowa. Hi, Nate.
Hello, Dr. Ray. How are you doing today?
Nothing gaining on me.
Excellent. So the rundown and the skinny is I'm in the process of my master's for clinical social work, and I was just finished up my ethics class.
Oh, that had to be a trip. That had to be fun.
Was it? Yeah, but it's at Catholic University of America, so go Cardinals. But the thing is even a Catholic university where you can express your Catholic identity seems to still be infiltrated. Because two fellow classmates and I did a presentation on something that occurred to me during my generalist year internship. And that was encountering someone who's homosexual and living an alternative lifestyle. But he was suffering from mental anguish, from being ostracized in his community, as well as not being able to feel belonged, because he's originally from Indiana and he moved to Iowa because of his partner. So we covered that, and long story short, too late, we were attacked essentially by a fellow classmate who identified as a homosexual and practices homosexuality. Well, within our presentation to our defense, we kept it objective, and we kept it with all data. But what it does is it kind of presents to me, what is going on and how is it that I'm going to have to deal with situations like that. From the little bit that I've looked into, because I'll more than likely be practicing at a secular practice and not one of the Catholic ones here in Des Moines. But, what if someone comes along to that and then I have to, compromise my own Catholic identity to appease the general public? So I guess all in all, I'm just looking for some sort of advice, guidance, and maybe some anecdotal stories that you might have had and encountered and come across.
What you're saying, see how I said that, Nate? That's my professional lingo. What you're saying is, what I hear you saying, I'm sensing a lot of. I got to know all those cliches, Nate. It sounds like what you're saying is that was a microcosm of what you're going to be experiencing in a macrocosm. In other words, that was not a first time, but it was a one-time exposure to someone who says, wait a minute, you're not practicing good clinical stuff if you think like that, correct?
That is exactly what she put in her comments on our post. So you hit that right on the head there, Dr. Ray.
Andrew, flag that. Nate said I hit that right on the head. Make a good bumper. I get calls from people going through various clinical programs who say that if they do not adhere to the reigning mindset, they're not even allowed to express anything, not only contrary, but anything that smells of religion. My advice to them usually is, well, keep your head down, navigate it, recognize that once you get on your own in practice, you have some more flexibility. For example, wherever you go to work, Nate, you can tell them, I'm not comfortable dealing with this particular problem. I can't do that. I don't think I could give the client well enough counseling therapy. You can do that. That's one way to do it. Another one is you can ask questions of the client, giving their particular perspective on how they're living their life. You can ask them. For example, I played a lot of softball, and I used to play with a lot of co-ed teams. And it wasn't unusual for the better co-ed teams to have a number of girls that were same-sex attracted. And one of them came to me informally and was talking about how she was so very, very upset because the relationship she had with another girl on the team had broken for another girl. Okay, so what do I do about that? Right? Exactly what do I do about that? Obviously, this girl was not Catholic in her beliefs. She didn't think there was anything that would be even questionable about this. So I dealt with it from the perspective of her own emotions about this, her sense of feeling betrayed, what she's going to do in the future, how she's going to treat this girl. I dealt with it as an interpersonal kind of relationship. That's what I did, as opposed to getting into the particular morality of it. You can sort of put guideposts around the way you want to practice. Obviously, if you get into a very, very secular program that says you got to think this way. I'll give you another small example, an anecdote. I had a chance to consult to a college program, local college program, and it was Catholic. So I met with the clinical director, who I don't think was a PhD. I think she was master's level, and a couple of her people, and I offered my services. I was rejected, flat out rejected. Because, and I found out later, of course, that they had some sense of my worldview. And now just not a worldview they wanted. And it wasn't that I was going to push my worldview on them. It was just the fact that they smelled that somehow it could trickle into anything I might offer in dealing with a client. So they just flat out rejected it. So I guess what I'm saying to you, Nate, is you're going to face this. Sadly. Sometimes my profession does not allow you to go outside of the reigning ideology, especially in matters of morality. So given that, you can still succeed, and you can probably hold yourself out as a therapist with a Catholic worldview who respects a Catholic worldview. And there are more and more websites with people signing up. I had a friend who navigated a local college and had to keep her head down. But when she got out, she put herself forward on the internet as someone who respects Catholics. She had more business she could handle. So there's a lot of people wanting to say, look, I don't want to be told how wrong I am for wanting to stay in this marriage. I don't want to be told I need a divorce. I don't want a divorce. I'm going to go to somebody who's going to help me work through this. So just some thoughts there, Nate.
I greatly appreciate it. Positive note is I ended up getting an A in that class as well as an A on that presentation. So just because I had a prickly fellow peer didn't mean anything.
And I would question if that fellow peer was going to go on to do therapy, how her own narrow view would impact how she treats people. Thanks, Nate. Take care.
Thank you.
This is Dr. Ray. We had a call yesterday from a dad whom I asked to call back because I think we were cut short by the clock. Scenario was this. I don't want to have to repeat this because I'm going to assume that you people listen every day, but some of you don't. You know who you are. And it's readily apparent by the gaps in your psychological makeup, which I can tell because I'm a highly trained professional. You may not notice it. Dad had a daughter who wasn't straightforward with them about her education. They had assumed that she was preparing for med school. She went through her college and didn't tell them. She had no plans to go to med school, and the reason she didn't is because she didn't want to disappoint him. So Dad said, why would she lie to us? And he put his finger on it. He said, yeah, she was just afraid of how we might react, not in a nasty way, but in a disappointed way. And he said this child was always wanting to please them. And he said, can you recommend somebody for therapy? And I said, did she want therapy? And he said, well, basically, no, not that he knows of. And I said, it's interesting. I said, on one hand, you've observed that she feels beholden to get your approval on her life decisions. And then on the other hand, you said, I'm going to get her some therapy for what she did. Well, wait a minute. And Dad recognized that. So his follow-up question, well, I'll let him ask it. Hi, Lawrence. Thanks for the call back.
Yes, my question is, okay, when she was growing up, she never asked for anything, which is never asked for stuff like as children usually do, like get me this toy or devices or any such thing. We had to see to it that she had enough clothes and the right clothes and to the and even now in her room there is still the bed she has. It's still from like it's a low bed from I don't know whenever we got it, and asked her repeatedly like you want shall we replace the bed, and she says no, I'm good. So based on in your experience, what could cause a child to be like that?
Oh, I got an easy answer for you, Lawrence. I got a real easy answer. Because that's who she is. And what I mean by that is every kid's wired different. Every kid has an inborn personality. Every kid has a certain style that shows itself. And we parents, we can't do necessarily a whole lot about changing their personality. What we do is we try to give them morals and socialization and things that will serve them very well in living their lives. But in terms of their personality, whether one kid's shy, where another kid says, bring it on, world, is that all you got? Or a daughter like yours who says, I'm fine. I don't really need much. I don't really want much. It's okay. I'm good. Which I personally think is a beautiful quality myself. She's not greedy and grabby. But I think the downside to that, Lawrence, is that she probably over-worried about making sure she got your approval. And there's a certain level you want the kids to want their parents' approval. But on the other hand, if it led her to do things like not tell you in college that she had no intention of going to medical school, but she didn't want to tell you. Only after the fact did she want to tell you. So if you're saying to me, did we do this? Probably not. I mean, you may have responded to it in a certain way, but that's kind of who she was. I got some kids that are wildly affectionate with us. And then I got other kids that are a little more standoffish. They're all raised in the same house. Our house is a very affectionate household. I'm Italian, okay? There's no way I'm not going to be affectionate with you at all.
Yeah, she has a younger sister. Yeah, she has a younger sister who's very different. Yeah, she makes her desires and wants known.
Yeah, it's who they are. And you raise each kid differently.
So at this point, Dr. Ray, what do you think? I mean, it's to the. I mean, it actually. She also seems like she does not want to ever say no to us. Like whenever she hears something from us, we tell her something. It's always okay, and then of course, and then the subsequent responses and.
How old is she, Lawrence?
She will just.
How old is she?
24.
I think it's pretty much close to the point where, barring religious and moral guidance, whatever she chooses in her life, as long as obviously it's within a religious moral guidelines, you don't say much. You tell her, well, what do you think? Well, I don't know, Dad. I don't know what I want to do. Well, what are you leaning toward? In other words, you're going to ask her what she thinks. And if she says, well, I want to know what you think, I'd say something like, well, if I tell you what I think, I don't want you to automatically agree just because I think it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do. I would duck her saying to you, well, I want to know what you think, because I know you want to guide her. I know you want to give her suggestions, and that's all great. And she's open to getting them. Mm-hmm. But your concern is that just because you say it, she's going to do it, even if her heart's not in it. And that's where you run into problems, because ultimately she'll get frustrated or upset or say, I'm on a wrong path, like she did with college. Okay. She figured you wanted her to go to medical school. That was a big deal. Maybe you're a physician yourself, and that's kind of the direction that she always sensed that you wanted her to go. And being she's kind of a malleable individual. She just went, oh, okay, all right, okay. And then as she got into school and she found out, no, this is not me. This is not me. See, that happened to me in college. They pushed me to be an engineer. I thought, well, okay, I guess I'll be an engineer. Until about a year into it, and I realized this isn't for me. So my difference is I'm probably a bit more stubborn than your daughter. And I thought, right. I'm changing majors right now. And I told my mom, I called her. I said, hey, Mom, I just changed from Case Tech to Western Reserve University. My mom's like, okay. Okay. Lawrence, thank you for the call. God bless you. Sound like a caring dad. This is Dr. Ray. I shall be back because Carl wants to make some comments about my opening monologue where I said what puzzles me so much is that people do not think about after their death. What will they face? How will it go?
Ave Maria in the Afternoon is underwritten by the following nonprofit organization. Real Estate for Life. Buying or selling your home or business property? Real Estate for Life can connect you with one of 1,400 pro-life real estate agents around the world. When Real Estate for Life receives a referral fee, they donate 70% to Ave Maria Radio and Human Life International. More information at realestateforlife.org or 877-LIFE-US1. That's realestateforlife.org.
Food for the Journey's Sister Ann Shields.
The Lord, in His Word through the church, offers us some really good food. But it has to do with a topic that we're not always very keen on hearing, and that is the willingness to suffer for the name of Jesus Christ, the willingness to suffer that others might know Him. Suffering is a difficult word for all of us. It's hard. It doesn't come easily. We don't say, I so want to suffer. We don't most of the time. But when we love deeply, we're willing to suffer for those we love. And that's why I keep speaking to you about the love of God. Love that God wants to pour into your heart so that you can love Him in return. That you will love Him with His love by the power of the Spirit. And that love works through us when we're docile to the Holy Spirit. That's what gives us the grace and the power to be willing to suffer so that others might know that. Now, I'm not there yet. I have my eyes too much on the circumstances and not enough on God. But all of us can keep moving in that direction. But if we can turn to the Lord in every circumstance, I think we'll be amazed at what God provides.
Food for the Journey with Sister Ann Shields can be now heard on the audio archives page at AveMariaRadio.net.
Question I get a lot, you do a show like this, you got to be somewhat well-rounded. You got to know something about some things. So people will ask me, Dr. Ray, are you into books? Oh, of course I am. My wife accused me of just being sloppy with books, so I figured, okay, I gotta buckle down. And forgive me for bragging, but last night, in one night, I finished a 168-page book. And that is a lot of coloring. It really is. My hands were sore. Carl has some comments to flesh out my conundrum, my flummox over why people, when they get later in life, still don't look at the question of God, of Jesus, of infinity. Hi, Carl.
Hi, Dr. Ray. Pleasure to talk to you. Listen, I have been noticing what you're talking about for quite some time. And there was a book that came out about maybe at least 10 years ago. I thought it was pretty appropriate. It's about how the American belief in positive thinking. It says something about bright-sided. We always look at the bright side. How our belief in America about positive thinking has brought harm, to our culture. I think this is a little I think it is an American phenomenon, really, that, we're, just, positive thinking. Oh, if you think you can, you can. Just don't even think of it. Just everything's got a bright side. No matter how bad it is, there's always a bright side. You know what I mean?
So if I die, it's going to work out, right?
Yeah, that's one thing. And the other, let's say, problem that's causing more of this is I'm going to criticize our education system in general, because when I talk to my kids about something that I say is true, they counter, well, they don't tell us that in school or something like that, and they've got to find it somewhere else, and educate. I'll say this is what I have, let's say, rationalized or thought about this. The education system we have has brought on a demise of common sense. Because I'll go so far as to say that everything you learn in school, everything, you could figure out yourself using common sense.
Yeah, you might not be able to figure out easily how to read, Well,
I'll agree with that. But I think most everything else, that's true. Math, probably, nuclear physics, yeah.
Yeah, there's certain skills that you ain't going to self-teach easily anyway. Well, I know what you're saying, and there's plenty of people, Carl, that would agree with you. There are plenty of people who would say not only the elementary years, but higher education is infused with ideology. Yeah. It's infused with proper thinking according to the cultural dictates. Absolutely. No doubt about that. More and more people are recognizing that college needs to be selected very carefully, especially for the skill that you might want to pursue.
Yeah.
I'll share with you something. People will say, Dr. Raywell, you got a PhD. And I will tell them, my PhD, my education in grad school particularly, is about 5 to 10% of what I now know as a psychologist. The rest of it is self-taught. The rest of it is reading. The rest of it is experience. That's where it comes from.
Absolutely. I'm an auto mechanic by trade, but I didn't know anything about woodworking, about building, but I've just thought about it, just looked at it. You just look at it and think about it. And you can say, no, that's the way it should be done. You know what I mean? I didn't need to go to a book, it's just a lot of the things that you think are skills that you need to learn somewhere, you can actually figure them out, gardening, carpentry, things like that. I mean, even if you just look at something the way it's built and you say, well, that's how they built this wall. That's how they did it. You just observe how it's been done before,
Carl, you might have an ability that is rare among people if you can do that. Most of us, me included, if I'm going to try anything, even charging or finding my battery on my car where it's hidden, probably going to have to go to YouTube and type it in or talk it in and say, okay, battery on a such and such year car, where, how, etc. And so, yeah,
Yeah, I think you're selling yourself short. I think you could do it if you really, if you want.
But the question is, how long is it going to take me? You know what I mean? I only got so much time. How long is it going to take me? That's the key.
I want to ask you a personal question. Do you have something to do with music or playing an instrument?
I played the organ professionally for 10 years in restaurants and nightclubs. And yes, I still play now. There it is. That's me.
You alluded to that. I play guitar. It's it's amateur, the bumper music that you have is great. This guy must be somehow into music.
Well, it put me through college easily without loans. It very much did. Back in those days, an awful lot of the restaurants had live entertainment, not necessarily DJs or karaoke. They had an individual piano or organ, and that was the heyday of that. Carl, thanks for the call. I appreciate it, buddy. You call back anytime. This is Dr. Ray getting real close to having to go. I appreciate it so very, very much. I thank you always. I learned so much from you guys. I very do. It's part of my growth as a psychologist. It's from you guys. I mean, you say things, you ask questions, you push my mind in certain directions. You force me to connect dots. You force me to listen, because when people describe things to you, a lot of times you got to connect two different thoughts that seem far apart, but they're not. And there's a common theme in them, but you got to listen. You got to listen really, really close. And my wife says, she said to me the other day, she was kind of frustrated with me. She said, Raymond, are you even listening to me? And I thought to myself, that's a funny way to start a conversation. Well, I got to go. Thanks, Eric Dumont. Thanks, Andrew Kruchek. And thank you, EWTN, all the wonderful people over there and the networks that carry us. I'm very grateful. Appreciate it very, very much. This is Dr. Ray. Lord willing, tomorrow, Look Back Friday. Blessed 4th of July. Blessed gratitude for what we all have. Walk with God.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.